Before we get started, we're gonna wait to see if anybody joins, and if not, we're gonna wing it. We're gonna try to have fun at the same time as well. While I adjust my microphone, and we're gonna talk about that too. Tonight, we're gonna talk a whole bunch of things. We're gonna be all over the board. Talk about good things. We're gonna talk about bad things. We're gonna talk about opinions. Depending on how many join, maybe we can get a debate going. Debates are fun, right? Maybe. Those of you who are watching me via Twitter Live or Periscope or YouTube, let me introduce myself. My name is Ryan, and one of the things I stream about is life topics. This happens to be a life topic. I am no expert in this field. I don't expect anybody else to be. Maybe you are. And that's okay. If you are an expert in this field and you join my broadcast as a viewer, be prepared to join as a guest live. However, do not claim that you're an expert that you are not in whatever field that you happen to claim. Let's get that out of the way right now. I'm going to talk about broadcast that I joined yesterday, which was the motivating factor of tonight's broadcast. That's one of them. That's the main reason why I'm live. Number two, which is also a main reason why I'm live, folks, is hopefully we can fulfill our HAPS challenge. Then again, if you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, that's where I'm at. I'm broadcasting on a platform known as HAPS, HAPPS. It's a wonderful platform that allows me to multi-stream to different platforms. Right now, we're only on two, Twitter and YouTube being the two examples. You can go to Facebook. You can go to Periscope until Periscope is no more for, I think they're going to be around for one more month. That's it. And they're gone forever. At least that platform will be. And then it'll be Twitter Live. That's where we're on right now. You can also broadcast via Twitch. I don't do Twitch. Right now I'm having a fight with Twitch. Fight is kind of the wrong word to use, but we're going to use that anyways. Because it's kind of a misnomer. For those of you wondering what the fight is about, and it really has little, if anything, to do with this broadcast, but because I mentioned it and brought it up, I don't know if you guys are having the same problem on Android, but a lot of my friends, because Periscope's going away, a lot of my friends moved to Twitch. Some of them went to Twitch before just, hey, we need another platform to go to. A lot of people did that. That's why a lot of us are here on HAPS. HAPS is a better place for all of us. Hopefully it's a better place for you as a viewer as well. Regardless whether you're watching on a different platform, you happen to see us just because we're on Twitch. Like to say, as I say in every broadcast, welcome aboard. Because I'm all aviation. What's up, Brendan? How you doing? So, Brendan, since you're just joining, I was telling people that I was having a little fight with Twitch, and that's not the reason why we're live, but I did mention it a few moments ago. So, to finish that before we get into tonight's topic. But I don't know if you're using or if you have Android. Let me word it that way. But I don't know if you've noticed on Twitch. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, or maybe you have this problem too. Let me know, Brendan, if you have this problem if you're using Android. Maybe it's an iOS thing. Maybe you have the same thing on iOS too. Maybe it has something to do with yours truly. I don't know. But the thing is, I almost feel guilty, which is actually technically part of what etiquette could be. It's another etiquette thing I'm gonna pop up on my screen. Sorry. Um, and I always feel guilty, and it's not something that I really should feel guilty about. This just happened to be the person because I'm a nice person. You do not use Android, and you do not have a Twitch account. Okay, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so for the longest time, I had no issues. Now my issue on Twitch is anytime that I'm on Wi-Fi, because I use Wi-Fi more than data because of data reasons. I cannot join a chat. I don't know why that is. If I'm using data, like phone cellular data, I'm fine. Perfectly fine. Now, it may not be an iOS or Android thing because I get the same result on my computer too. So, in a few months, I'm going to be upgrading to a very, very fancy Android device with a high-end processor. And I'm wondering if I switch over just even for a minute or two, join one of my friends' Twitch accounts or even a random show on Twitch, because that'll happen too. Not like I'm blocked or banned or muted or whatever you would call it. If I run the Wi-Fi from the phone, let's see if I have the same issue, but I won't be able to find out until I have that very phone. So, but I thought I'd mention that for a little bit. Why am I live? Why are you watching me right now? We're going to talk etiquette. The reason why we're talking etiquette is because the longer this goes without somebody, I do not know. I cannot vouch for anybody else what they broadcast about, especially if I don't watch it or see it. Okay. So I do not know for a fact if anybody's talked here on Haps about etiquette in part or as a whole. Okay. I'm talking about us. I'm not talking about like the crew that works for Haps specifically, because eventually that's bound to happen, even if they haven't already, which I still don't know either. But the point is, the sooner the better. Hey Leslie, how you doing tonight? Leslie, we're talking etiquette. And the reason why I titled it the way I did is not to be mean. It's not a mean thing. It's kind of my way of my attempt of trying to get people's attention to the matter, because it's a serious issue. Okay. Right now it's serious. The longer this goes, it can end up personal. Whether it's for me or any one of you, whether it's a viewer or somebody's guest or even a host themselves. Cleaning and watching lives. Awesome. Glad to have you aboard, as I always say. So that could be an example right there when I always tell everybody, welcome aboard. So somebody could probably take that literally. So believe me, if I get there someday, you'll know what I mean by what I say that in the future. But I have done that in the past, I think twice. I've flown with you actually twice, not airlines, like actual private. I very, very rarely do that. Both times I had both times I was an instructor and a safety pilot, and I wasn't actually flying the plane, but I was broadcasting at the same time. That was on Periscope, so long time ago. Exactly, it should be talked about. Somebody needs to bring this to attention, and like I said, I am no expert. I don't pretend to be. I claim to be a lighting expert. Do I actually work in the lighting industry? No, but do I know a hell of a lot about lighting? Yes. We'll get into that a little bit too, but not right this second. But eventually in this podcast, we'll talk about all kinds of fancy things. We'll talk about the microphone I'm using. we'll get a little fancy. We'll talk about the lights that I'm using right now. If you guys notice any details, you can probably tell what type of lights I'm using right now. And if you can't, then we'll describe it because it'll be difficult with the camera that I'm using to literally show you. You don't want to see them anyways because they look ugly. They're ugly. I mean the lights. Um, okay, so I didn't have too much time to prepare this, but the most prepare that I have, what we're going to start is something I experienced yesterday. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, Leslie, you were in that particular broadcast. You probably already know where I'm going with this. So I was a guest on somebody else's stream. Okay. And I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about the other people. Okay. So bear with me here. All right. We're not talking about other people behind their backs, whether they're good people, whether I'm friends with them or think we're friends or anything else. Okay. But the reason why it has to do with me is regardless whether I'm live like where I am now or I'm a guest on doesn't matter whose broadcast. Okay. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you even know them. I've joined broadcast as a guest. The people literally I met the exact moment that I've actually joined it as a guest. In other words, I've come into as a chat, introduce myself, and boom, you're invited, and that's your chance, and your one chance only. So it goes both ways, whether you know the person, you get along with them or not, or you don't know the person. That's even more important if you don't know the broadcaster and they invite you up. Whether they're interviewing you or they're doing like those two cases that I mentioned, not last night, but the other two broadcasts that I met as coming in as a guest myself was one, I think was, or one reason rather, not, was fulfilling their HAPS challenge number one. So that helps a lot too, because we all know that when people come into our broadcast, regardless of how we know them or how we're affiliated with them, then their viewers come on in. That's a given. Okay. So, that's pretty cool. And it's one of those things where to put that into like how I am, put that into perspective, that forces us to pay attention, especially for a guest. Okay. Because that's what you want to do. You want to be asked of who you are from said broadcaster or said host. Okay, whether you know them or not. And especially that's even more important when you know somebody, let's say you've known somebody for a couple years and they came from Periscope and they've merged along with you over to Haps. And let's say there's something that you may not know that you should know about that person. Okay. It could be anything. Okay. And let's say the broadcast goes in a certain place where, okay, that broadcaster or that host doesn't accept certain behavior on their channel. And let's say you didn't know this before. So a lot of times a guest may not know that without being directly told. Okay, so we're going to start there tonight. Is viewers are at the mercy of me right now, and my responsibility is to call attention to you guys. Okay, my notes. That's why I keep looking down to the right. Not supposed to read that. That's okay. But yes, that's kind of how I think, and I'm proud of it. Sometimes we're going to be all over the place. Sometimes I rant. sometimes I'm a little harsh, and I don't mean to be harsh in a bad way. And I'm going to do my damnness tonight not to lecture anybody. I don't want to do that. I don't want to alienate. I can even. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to scare you guys. Let's put it that way. Okay. So nobody here, including yours truly, nobody's going to be mean. I did address a comment before going live, and the question that he asked was more of a clarification type thing, so it could have went all over the place. So, Lorena, welcome on board. Lorena, Terry. So welcome on board. Nice to have you here. Okay. So I got this. I don't really hear this word too much. Matter of fact, I actually had to look it up, but obviously there's going to be no malice here. Okay. Because I was literally Googling stuff, and I knew a thing or two, but just for research for like the last hour, hour and a half, or whatever, while I was eating a late night dinner. That's one of the YouTube videos were saying that, you know, don't be mean, not to address these issues. I'm just talking about like, you know, he was he was more talking about Twitch specifically, but the way that I was interpreting it, okay, well, each platform has their specific things, and Twitch is actually a good example to use because unless I'm wrong or maybe I misunderstood him, but it's an easy way to get your channel banned just by being blocked by somebody. Okay. So we'll get into that later because I don't really see too much of that here in Haps, at least not yet, knock on wood. But so the second note that I wrote that I'm looking at is what exactly I'm doing now. Okay. And I'm going to pick on myself for good reasons because you already know this because you were watching me live do this. Instead of looking at you, I keep looking down at my notes. Some people hate that. And that's your choice. That's your prerogative. Okay. And I have a fix. I don't know how well that fix is going to go. That fix just cost me, I just bought it, $130. And hopefully it'll fix a whole bunch of things because I have big plans for this channel. And we'll see where we're going. But I know I'm kind of all over the place. But okay, presenting yourself on camera or as a viewer. Says, I don't know. However, that this is a highly liberal, democratic type liberal social media platform. You say a bunch, but not too much. Okay. That's part of, okay, so that goes along with what I just said. Okay, presenting ourselves as the host or the broadcaster. Okay. So that goes both ways, that, presenting ourselves as a viewer and then presenting ourselves more so what I'm doing right now. Being in from Mill Creek. Where's Mill Creek at? I know a Mill Creek. You talking Mill Creek, Pennsylvania? Because if you are, I actually used to live in Mill Creek when I was little. When you were little, I used to live in Mill Creek. I think, what is it? Just outside of Erie? Erie or Pittsburgh? There's quite a while when I was young when we moved up and down the west coast of Pennsylvania, so to speak. So, Mill Creek, Washington. Okay, thank you for the clarification. That's one thing about Haps is nothing against Haps or anything, but when we say the hello from and sit there and I always like to address that. It's like, okay, well, I think we know what it is, or maybe not. So sometimes I assume things, and whether that's right or wrong, that's opinionated, I guess. But presenting ourselves as the live streamer goes all over the board. Okay. One of those things, like I just talked about, is me keep looking instead of looking at you at the camera, keep looking down on my notes. And it's the one thing like, okay, Ryan, we have clarification. Okay, we get it. We understand. It's cool. You know, and other people, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, some people loathe the fact that people look away from the camera regardless of the reason or why or for however how long. And that's something I'm still getting used to, especially when I'm thinking. I tend to stare out into space. So you'll see that a lot. Like if I'm thinking like I can't think of that word. Or I can't think of that meaning of the description. What was that movie? I do that a lot. So just for clarification. You'll see that in real life, you'll see that here, both me as the broadcaster and me as somebody's guest, as somebody else's live stream. Okay. Maybe I'm not going to do it because you probably already know, but I wrote down read etiquette definition, but you guys probably already know what that word actually means. Probably nobody really cares what the actual Merriam-Webster or whatever dictionary you get that from. We pretty much already know what the word is. P. Welcome from Hollywood. How's Florida? Okay. All right. I mentioned before you all joined. Okay. And I'm going to say this again that some of you are here. Okay. And I'm going to do my damnedest to look at the dang on camera when I say this. Okay. Because this has been brought up before, maybe not as literal or very specific or head on like this, but now it's a chance to say that. Good. I'm happy to hear that as well. I'm doing pretty good too. Matter of fact, that's part of what my shirt is. It's a big freaking ray of sunshine. I think that's what it says. But anyways, okay. Now this is highly debatable. I am. We're addressing a couple things here, hopefully in a awesome way. Okay. We'll see how this broadcast goes, and a lot of you'll notice if you guys haven't noticed already, a lot of Habs broadcasts tend to take a life on their own, and that's awesome. Okay, I actually tend to like that. Okay, now I got this from a YouTube video, and that was this person's recommendation. I never watched this person a day in my life until about an hour before I broadcasted up, almost said scoped up. Okay. We're entertainers, like it or not. If we're live, whether we're showing ourselves or not, okay, whether how we're addressing you or whatever, or we're just having a good old time and everybody's just partying or just hanging out or whatever, just being here. Whether we're like myself right now, me, myself, and I as a one-man band show, or we're a guest. We're entertainers, like it or not. Okay. Now, like I said, that could be highly debatable. Okay. And I get that. All right. But one of the reasons why I say this is to put that in perspective. Okay. You guys probably already know this because you guys, as viewers, I'm doing something right. How do I know I'm doing something right? You're here. Hopefully, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm hoping you're enjoying this broadcast thus far. I caught your attention. You guys are here. Hopefully, we're all having a good time. And hopefully, we have even a better time as time goes on in this broadcast. Okay. But what I'm saying is, it's our responsibility to, and Pete, you're really good at this. Okay. Now, Pete, I don't mean to bring you to the table, so to speak. But Pete is a great example because Pete is really good at grabbing viewers' attention, and you want to do that right away. The sooner I can grab your attention as a live streamer or even as a guest, okay, in my words, the better off we are. Okay. Could I please initiate my words more? I'll try, but I think we're okay right now. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. We'll get there. All right. Okay. So that goes along with another notes because I have all these notes here. Okay. So what's the most important thing of anybody's stream? Anybody know that? Okay. I don't know how big the lag is on comments. I don't think it's too big, but I'll just go right ahead and tell you. The biggest and most important thing of anybody's stream, whether you're the broadcaster or you're a guest of somebody's broadcast, especially you guys as a viewer, your time is the most important thing about a broadcast. Not only live, especially live, okay, but we're on YouTube right now. I don't say I'll ever do it. I'm sure I will eventually. I've done more live streams on YouTube because of Haps, because I'm allowed to, and that we're enabled to do so, than I do pre-recorded videos like most other YouTubers out there. I'm not calling myself a YouTuber by any stretch of the imagination, okay? But I'm almost losing my train of thought. Like I said, time is so precious. You can't get that back. Okay. And so it's up to us to make the most of it. Okay. Here's a good I tried to quote this. One of the YouTube videos that I watched to do some research for this broadcast tonight is the gentleman said viewership will maintain will I'm sorry, viewership we maintain, like as a broadcaster, will reward you for the good for the good content or with good content. Okay. So that goes along with okay, no names here, but there was a pre-comment um that I don't know if you guys saw that, but one of the pre-comments before I went live, not soon or after I did the post, this person mentioned interesting topic. So that's up to me to make that interesting. I guess that's what I'm saying. All right. And I wrote sad examples because and this is highly debatable too, okay? But believe me, we're influencers whether we like it or not. Believe it. A lot of us might not think that we're influencers. And there could be several different reasons why. What do you guys think an influencer really is? I will tell you mine. I'm going to tell you or tell me what you think an influencer is to you, because that's more of an opinionated type thing. Okay. Um, to me, like without knowing anything, and again, I apologize if I'm assuming things, but I would tend to think, and even I do the same thing. We tend to think that an influencer is either somebody famous, somebody well-known. I like that perspective. This is true being an influence. Exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay. A lot of us happen to think that influencers, okay, let's, we're not going to go talk, politics. Okay. But I used to think people that are hugely famous, such as, the reason why I mention that is, like Whoopi Goldberg comes to mind. And the reason why I mention her name is, hey, Uke, I do. And I'll tell you why in a second. Welcome aboard, by the way. I do. I do. Because without knowing anything, we think of people. Thank you for the Super Heart Award. I appreciate you, Uke. You're awesome. We tend to think that somebody that means something to us, or maybe we just happen to know them. Thank you again for the Super Heart Award. Again, thank you. Thank you twice. Thank you 3 times. 4 times. Love you guys as viewers. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that question, okay? Because that's one of the reasons why I mentioned it. Okay. We're all influencers. Why? Simply because we're in front of the camera, regardless of how or why or where the camera is. If that camera's on, it could be a pre-recorded thing for YouTube or for a future broadcast. It could be live like what we are right now. Okay. My opinions right now, because that's what we're doing, hopefully it's doing that to you. That's exactly why I call myself, or that could be one of the reasons why I call myself Perspective TV. You're not gonna find me on an actual TV show. I never say never, but I have no reason to be on a TV show. We're live on Haps right now. I'm not an influencer. I'm a friend collector. I like that perspective. I really do. Okay. And you bring up a good point because you don't have to call yourself an influencer, whether you're regardless or not. So I'm just point of that as I'm trying to be literal for that specific reason. Okay. Find the best friends and collect them. Well, you certainly like collected me, right? But that's important. That's important. Um, so I wrote a little side note, just so everybody knows a little bit about me, and this could be the same for any one of you too. Is think of this broadcast as more of a do as I say, and I'm not telling you all to do anything at all. But I'm trying to be a leader. Uh, like I collected you already, you just don't know it yet. I'm a narrator of soothing ocean sounds and sunrise magic. Boom! And I apologize if that was loud, but it's a silly way of entertaining you guys because that's half of what I try to do. I don't try to pretend to entertain because I'm no entertainer. I might be an influencer just because I have things to say and tell you, show you, maybe teach you, right? But part of the reason why like the title is a great example. You know, hopefully it calls you guys to attention. I don't want that clickbait. I mean, I'm sure there's a fine line between clickbait. Thank you, Pete. You're too. Every single one of you, whether I met you or not in person or if I've known you on broadcasting. Demand 5 layers of shirts. Deck on it. No, I did this on purpose tonight. It's not too bad. I I don't believe my clock as much as I should. Like the time is actually accurate versus my dummy watch. You guys see that? Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. So there you go. That's the wrong perspective that anybody should tell you. That damn watch sits there and is lying to you right now because it's. But I don't. I'll just wear that watch until the battery wears out. I'm not going to even replace the battery in that watch. It was on clearance. I bought it like 2 years ago. It was a clearance rack at Walmart for like $5. I'm so not used to this single shirt thingy. Yeah, and that's half the reason because not that it is important or anything, but you guys can only see part of it. And I'm sitting so low because I'm sitting in a different chair right now because I could rant, like a 2-second rant. Maybe I'm making things harder than they have to be, but I didn't realize finding a daggone chair, like the chair that you normally see me sitting on. You see the back of it right now. This stupid thing right here is not mine. So I can complain all I want, but I can only complain to a point because it's not mine. It's more of a borrowed chair just because it happens to be in the area that I broadcast in every night. And it's a good chair, but if you ever guys know that I'm sitting there like this every time, whether I'm your guest or if I'm live, is I used to have a lot better posture, number one, but number two, if I want to relax a little bit, pull my mic closer to me, I just freaking chill. So this chair doesn't really have too big of back support really either, but it's not a up and down chair or whatever. Yeah, I can't adjust it that way rather. But no, the reason why I was talking about this clock is because it's 68 degrees in this room theoretically, according to what that atomic clock is saying right now. I have a portable heater that I bring in with me. So I don't know if you guys ever hear that little hum. All right, I just turned it on full blast. Can you guys hear that in the background? Because we'll talk about that in a little bit because that was one of the motivating factors. One, to get the Haps Challenge done tonight, and then number two, not just when I was a guest in Nuke's broadcast yesterday, but since we go there, let's talk about that because I'm sure, now I'm paraphrasing here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that any one of you guys that are the hosts or that you're the broadcaster, anything that's in background noise is quite annoying. Okay. Wasn't sure if you guys can hear that or not. Okay. So now I know. Okay. So background noises from regardless of the source, regardless of why, my opinion is it's annoying as hell. Even if we can't control it sometimes, and I understand that, sometimes we can't control things. Let's say we're doing a stream in the public. Okay. I know a broadcaster that's on this platform. Again, no names. He's an awesome guy. Matter of fact, he lives not too far north of where I live. If I owned a car, I can hop in the car right now and get really close to him in half hour, 40 minutes, depending on where or about he is. But Yuke says, driving me bonkers when people call in and background noise is loud. Well, not only loud, but it's distracting. Okay, so that's a good etiquette start right there. Okay. We can have the much background noise, whether we can control it or not, and control parts and pieces of it, if we're the viewer. because then we only deal with it if we're the viewer, right? And we're creating it or unknowingly creating it, right? Like eating potato chips. Exactly. Exactly. And no offense to anything, but anything. I don't want to destroy my broadcast, so I intentionally not try to touch my keyboard, but we've had um other issues where literally eating potato chips is an excellent example because that has been done multiple times. No eating potato chips on my channel. Boom, boom, boom. Right there, you tell them. You tell them all. But that's part of our responsibility because I did notice that, with all due respect, because, like I said, part of my motivation was, and I had a great time in Yuke's broadcast last night, but Uke is really good at that. And sometimes you have to wait until the whatever, let's use the word for lack of a better term, incident happens live as we're broadcasting, like right there, and they're like, oh shoot, I got to backtrack and say, hey, guests, cut it out. Sometimes you have to be stern and quick and to the point. No eating anything on my channel. Or that. Only seagulls are allowed to perform in the background of beach broadcasts. I'm sure they enjoy their time. Uh, um, but and like I said, I'm all over the place. That's kind of like how I think. That's my thing, you know. So I'm cool with it. I try to, you know, especially if I'm a guest on somebody else's broadcast, I try to stick to the topic. Like if you ask me a specific thing, that's up to the broadcaster or the host rather to address it. One is st- stop eating potato chips, or hey, can you get your friends to stop yelling at you, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They all my guests all the time, talking over one another. Again, another motivating factor in why we're live right now, Yuke. That's the biggest reason. That is the exactly the starting point for tonight's topic. And yours truly is guilty as charged, no different than they all are too. Okay, how do I know that? Because I do that in freaking real life too. Over the years, I've gotten a lot better. But I tell you, I don't know how many other people think it's hard or difficult. It is. And that's just Ryan. Sometimes I make things, sometimes things, and it goes the same for you guys too. Sometimes things are a lot easier than it is for other things to do. And one of the more difficult things that I happen to do, just as a person myself, regardless if I'm on live stream, wherever, is for me, it's insanely difficult to sit there and come up with the exact timing. Okay. To say you need what you need to say, you feel, or maybe it's necessary to bring in your perspective, your thoughts. Maybe it's a proven fact into the conversation right at that exact moment. It can't wait 5 minutes, literally. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Welcome aboard. Sometimes we can't wait 5 minutes into the conversation because even if it's the same topic, it can just go. If you guys get my drift, like there's one thing that like I didn't mention that I was about to mention literally 5 minutes before, 5 or 10 minutes before Yuke ended her broadcast yesterday, and I was going to talk about because we we were talking about COVID and everything, and one of the things that I chose not to say, because I would have interrupted, just like everybody else was, right, was about, how there's, um okay, fight is the wrong word, I understand that, but there's a big fight among, um, airline companies as a whole and airline pilots, but that's for a different day and a different topic. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Um, so if you guys want to know what that fight is, because it's not really a fight, but it's worth mentioning. And that's what I'm saying now, because 10 minutes before she ended, I thought it was something absolutely necessary to say. And I said, okay, Ryan, is just going to stay quiet. And then we went to a very positive place, and then we called it a night. Yeah, it's okay to have an opinion, but don't force your opinion on others. And I had a vibe last night too. Okay. Um, I really did. I felt that too. You know, um, some of the guests that were on, using last night as an example, I know better than others. Some I kind of know. Some I want to get to know a lot better because one of them happens to be into aviation, specifically space, but that person's very specific and opinionated as well. So that's one thing that we have to get used to because I don't know that person. You guys probably know, at least you probably knows who I'm talking about, but I'm still learning that factors because I think somebody else mentioned this somebody in the chat saying uh, talking about her saying that that's her. That's how who she is. That's how she addresses people sometimes, and I'm getting used to that. Because sometimes you don't know that, especially as another guest, right, or even as a viewer. Maybe the host themselves, the broadcaster, him or herself, is doing that too. They're very. It's one thing. Opinions are awesome, and sometimes where the opinions are, no, this is how it is, and it's going to be that way. Okay, Debbie doesn't know who I'm talking about. I was referring to Space Girl. So that's more of an opinion as far as thinking, because that's something where if somebody doesn't know her, might think, holy shit, she's being mean. Or maybe she's being mean to Ryan. Or maybe Ryan's being mean to her. And not interpret that saying, hey, no, this is my side and this is what I know. And this person, that's their side and that's what they know. And that's okay. But behind every tough exterior is a person who wants to belong and be loved. Amen to that, right? Yes, we all need, hopefully, want to be loved. Okay. I don't know about here in Haps, but there's some people in real life that, like my coworker is a great example. And let's talk about my coworker for a second, because you all don't know who my coworker is. You probably don't even freaking care. But we're gonna care for a few moments. I'm not going to say what I want to. Debbie, all opinions are welcome here. All opinions are welcome here. Again, that's a part of the reason why the title is what it is because that's part of my responsibility. Is if it offends another viewer or if it offends me, I'll take that verbatim. But um, I'm pretty. I consider myself a pretty daggone tough cookie, and I'm open to criticism all I want. Right? Some people can't handle criticism, and that's why I'm going to talk about my coworker because That's one thing that he cannot tolerate is criticism, even if it's constructive criticism. Okay. I think she is a bully. That's your opinion. That's your right to have an opinion. I respect that. Okay. We're not going to get along with everyone, but we try to be civilized and not make waves. I tend to think that we did an okay job last night. And again, that's what I love about you is because not only she held herself well, but she has the ability to hold us together, even if we're losing ourselves. Just like comments like that, you know. Um, but go find some. Yeah, I know. So while we're on that, that's one of my things that we had an issue with, and I say we as a whole. Okay, right? Yeah, that comments from my because I'm on YouTube right now. One because I need another platform to fulfill the challenge. Number one, and I'm on both platforms, YouTube and Twitter. So we might have that tonight. So my apologies for not calling this out earlier, but that's up to us to decide. Okay. Again, Yuka's the perfect example. She last night in her broadcast, she did not correct me if I'm wrong, but um, she did not tolerate those kinds of things, and I happened to start it, and I was quick and I apologized for it too. But we're at the mercy of whoever that broadcaster, that host is. So I went to Twitter and YouTube like how I am right now, right? And that's the first thing we see is troll after troll after troll, and most of them were on my YouTube channel. And then it went to somebody else's um, platform. But I noticed something strange because they were still calling me out. And that could have been for a host of different reasons, not because of who I am or whether they like me or hate me or shun me or whatever. It doesn't matter. But that caused a disruption in Yuke's stream, right? So that's good etiquette material right there. So because I brought that to your attention because I allow that here. I don't allow trolls, but I deal with them accordingly. I like her. I just don't like how she comes at people. It's it's one thing I need to learn more about her. And the only way I'm going to do that is join more of her podcasts, a viewer or a guest, whether it's her channel or Yuke's channel or Pete's channel or anybody else's channel, and she happens to be a guest too, and I come in, whatever. Some people have tough exterior and shapes. Some, like me, I needed to be tough to survive. Good, good. See, you're talking to Debbie there. Let me get a drink real quick. All right, back to my coworker because I can use him as a perfect example. I'm fighting my phone here. I'm not even going to worry about that person because that's one thing about HAPS is it kind of makes it a little difficult to address those trolls because we can't do them here because they're not directly here on HAPS. I'm happy to hear you're open-minded, Ryan. I used to be such a severe closed. Listen to me talk. Closed-minded thinker, and I still technically am, kind of, but that's me fulfilling who I am because we're not just here to hear Ryan's perspective. I'm here to hear your perspective, even if you're a viewer, especially as a guest. But if you're just a viewer, same thing. I would be ashamed of myself if I sit there and didn't want to hear your opinions. regardless if I didn't agree with it, regardless if I hated it or didn't like it or made me upset or mean or angry or whatever. To me, that would be opposite of perspective, right? Because that's who I'm about, is to bring that in every conceivable direction that we can. But sometimes I'm very specific on things, and sometimes you'll notice this a lot, especially in the future. But I've done this before where I've talked about things and I've referred to things, and one of my things is I try to be so generic, so broad that when you're trying to clarify something, it almost confuses the more hell out of you than you originally were. We all have different personalities, some tough, some sensitive, some outspoken, some shy. We need to meet in the middle to understand each other. Boom. And it's up to us, not only as individuals, but broadcasters, to understand that. One of the etiquette YouTubes that I was watching, short YouTube, like a 20-minute YouTube, 15-minute, something like that. I don't know. Never watched this guy a day in my life, but he was more referring kind of specifically to Twitch. But that's how I was saying, okay, well, you can take what you do on Twitch and you can apply most of what he was talking about to give me examples to talk about with you right now, tonight, live, than just Twitch. Because Twitch is kind of I tend to think that Twitch is a little bit more of the most unique streaming platforms there is, for several different reasons. And one of his examples was how there's a lot of, I'll just say broadcasters. I almost said Twitchers. I don't. Is that even a word? Is that even a word? Twitcher, Twitch guy, Twitch gal, Twitch gang. I don't know. I don't know. But my point is, he's noticed a lot of broadcasters. Someone come in, and if I wanted to, I could have been a hole or a dick about this if I really wanted to. But I'm not that type of person. I'm not going to belittle my viewers or friends or anybody, and I'll do my damnedest not to dock down to viewers. You know, um, but sometimes I've been known to get a little tough. I don't even know if that's the right word. But sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes not only to get somebody to pay attention or to listen, but sometimes it's like, okay, whoever the broadcaster is, the host, they are in charge. So everything revolves around that broadcaster, regardless of what platform you're on. And sometimes he was talking about like energy feeding into itself, where sometimes sometimes like the Twitch streamer would be such a dick or douche. I know a guy. I don't consider him a friend because he's not really. That would be a stretch of the imagination, but I would like to think of him as a friend. But there's a YouTube guy that's not sure which one it is because he's done both. He's a fighter pilot, but I'm not exactly sure where he is right now. I think he's Air Force because he went back and forth between Air Force and Navy and flown FA-18 Hornets, and now I think he flies T-38s, and he's not like Casey Neistat level YouTube by any stretch of the imagination, but he's well known on YouTube, and that's one of his sayings. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, it's a guy by the name of C.W. Lemoyne. Look him up. He's really cool. He doesn't only do like military stuff, but a lot of times people come in and ask him questions. He does like what he calls mover mailbag, because every fighter pilot, you have a call sign, and his call sign is, excuse me, almost getting hiccups here. They call him mover, MOVER, VER, just how it's spelled. And if you guys want to know the story of how he got his name, he says that on his channel. I won't tell you guys for him. He'll do that for you, and he's already done that. But one of his sayings is, "Don't be a douche." So I'm trying. That's one of my goals tonight is to bring this into perspective. Try to be motivating, you know, um, and be yourself, regardless of whether you show yourself on camera or not. And the same thing as a viewer, just be yourself, just relax and be normal. One of the reasons why, like, I'm not necessarily relaxed right now, just because, hey, to you, maybe it sounds like an excuse, but I mean, it's the only back support I have on this stupid chair right now. I feel like a fool just sitting here. Like, if I was relaxing and not necessarily being terribly too serious, and I'm not trying to be like vitally serious. Like, if you do this, then you might get hurt, or you might slip and fall on ice. You know, or that's not what this is about. But you know, But no, it goes back to what you said earlier. No eating on her channel. No potato chips. And same thing on mine. But I'm a little different than that. Hey, you can eat if on my channel. Just in case anybody doesn't know that, but don't chomp your lips, because I'll just mute the microphone real quick if you're a guest or whatever, and that's cool. I'll let you know that, whatever. No harm, no foul, nothing personal. But some broadcasters, they cannot stand that. If you're in your house or your residence and somebody's yelling in the background, and you're like, "Yo, Sammy!" I'm just making up a random name. Nobody here in particular. Yo, Sammy, shut the hell up. I'm trying to act here, but you guys know what I'm saying. Because that not only doesn't work either, because now you just made it worse. Because maybe they're shouting or whatever, the TV's too loud, or so sometimes we have to handle it accordingly. All right, moving on. Okay, so number 8 was responsibility to demonstrate control over the stream. So that's kind of where we just talked about. And we kind of touched on this too. Like, my number 9 note here on my notes here is, number 9 says, I wrote down, when on someone else's stream as a live guest, do what is asked of you or by the sole host or broadcaster. We kind of touched on that. But that's up to the host to let people know. Like, sometimes, it happens in a chat, whether we can control it or not, or knock it down, kind of like if you're trying to knock down a fire, so to speak, right? Or, the guests are going at it, right? So, I notice this a lot. Here's another etiquette rule. Okay, these are kind of unwritten rules, but I notice this a lot. Maybe you don't need them. This is my recommendation. Okay. But last night, this helped a lot with our YouTube trolls last night in Nuke's broadcast. But have moderators. Definitely have moderators, especially in cross platforms like that. You got to. Some people don't believe, oh, I don't need moderators. That's their choice. That's okay. If you don't want to have moderators or assign that responsibility to a viewer that you either know that you trust or really do trust or think you trust, right? But like I have to deal with this every day when I'm at work. One of the first things I was taught when I was at work, regardless of what you're doing, and it goes for everything else. But I'm the kind of person that you can only do so much, maybe not 110% of the time, folks. Okay. But, and don't like distract yourself with it either. But the more homework we do to prepare for something, theoretically, the better we are. And what I mean by that is try to always be prepared. You always want to have something that you don't need, that needs something that you can't get to, you don't have access to, you can't afford. Must have, maybe it's a requirement. That's why I mentioned my work. You know, I work outside. So if it's 37 degrees out here in Ohio and it's solid rain, it's not sleet, it's not snow, but it's solid rain. Okay. A lot of my customers at my work, for those of you who don't know, most of you already do, but I work at a supermarket and I work outside. So a lot of customers will come up to me with like, you must be feeling down, or you must hate this, or something. It's usually one of those statements that are meant to be complimentary. That and sometimes it's not really upsetting or disturbing, even, but it's one of those assumptions where, man, this must suck. One, because they probably never done it in their entire lives, or maybe they did it when they were in high school, whatever. I don't know. But when it comes to weather, I don't mind being out in the weather. I actually enjoy the weather. That's actually one of the perks. If it's raining, if it's a badass snowstorm, um, we were lucky this year, at least the specific area that I work at and live and reside, we haven't had a major ice storm, knock on wood, as of yet this winter, in the spring. We haven't had a major ice storm, but almost, not quite every year, not literally every year, but almost yearly, we'll have some type of ice storm where, um, as long as I've been at the workplace that I work at, um, I can count them on. I still don't know the exact number, but I could probably count them with less fingers than I have in one of my hands. Maybe two, three times where it was gotten so bad where I cannot physically do my job anymore because the parking lot is an ice rink to the point where it's dangerous to go outside. You want to go out there, sit there, and you better be a public safety professional or something of that nature, or at least management. And you need to go out there to either prevent somebody from getting hurt or even saving their life at that point. Otherwise, get the hell inside. That only happened a couple times where sit there, it's like, and I'm not used to it, where sit there, my boss is telling me opposite of what I'm supposed to be doing, and they say, just stand down right now. That almost never happens, but I want to say maybe two or three times in my career that's happened. Um, I've never done it for real. Okay. But I had a tiny, tiny little bit of ice water rescue training. So when somebody actually like falls under the ice in the water, believe me, I know what it takes to get you out of the water, whether it's a stream or it's a stagnant water because it's sit there and you're trying not to drown in extremely freezing water. You know, um, actually, there was only one day of training that I ever had when I was an explorer at Monroe Falls Fire Department. But I'll never forget that day because um, I had to grab a tool from one side of the fire engine, and it was um, it was raining on one side of the fire engine. and it wasn't raining on the opposite side of the engine. I'm not talking like front and back side. I'm talking like on the right side, because where we had parked, the right side of the engine was facing toward the lake where we had the training. And it went from the right side of the bumper of the engine to the left side, and it was completely dry. It wasn't raining at all. And at the time, I thought that was the most freaking coolest thing ever, really. But those were back in my high school days. So I thought that was cool. But back to my coworker, he's one of those things that we kind of noticed about a viewer last night is you can give my coworker a compliment and can still take that extremely, extremely offensively. Now, I don't know exactly. I don't know if any of you all know exactly what happened last night, but for those of you who don't know, there was one of the guests in Muke's broadcast last night was did a nice gesture for a viewer, and that viewer vanished. Some reason this person got upset and they ran. That's my perspective. I don't know what happened between the two. That's their business. That's not even my business. But it's something to mention. If you do something nice, then be prepared. Maybe it does offend them. Maybe that's a trigger. We're all going through something where everybody's going through something right now. And some are at more extreme levels than others. More have suffered a lot more. Some of you fought COVID and survived, right? And I was talking with my boss a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned something along the lines of where, um, whether we, excuse me, whether we realize it or not, folks, we're all going through something, a tough time right now. Every single one of us. Okay. And the majority of those people who have suffered or still are, again, my sincere apologies, especially if you have COVID or you know somebody that has COVID. Hopefully they have a speedy recovery. Hopefully they get well soon. But even for those of us who still have jobs, still have an income, regardless of if it's crappy compared to what you used to have, maybe you lost your job and maybe you're doing Uber Eats and regular Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Grubhub to survive and sit there and you're making maybe a fraction of what you used to make. But you're making something. You're trying to pull your weight into society and trying to survive. And all we need right now is just that one tiny trigger. And a lot of us don't know what that trigger even is. What would pull that trigger? What's going to pull that trigger? We all need to pay attention to that. We all need to figure out what our triggers are. And then that person just loses their cool. And then we all have our ways of losing our cool or even control. We got to control ourselves. That would control the situation. So if we're responsible for controlling the situation along around us, especially if we're a leader, whether at work or holding ourselves, whether we're on live stream or not. Okay. But there was one time my coworker, a good example was my coworker, where I gave him a compliment, and I'll have to tell a little bit of backstory of why I just not so randomly. You can go up to somebody and sit there and they have a new pair of Nikes or a new pair of Adidas or a new pair of Reebok, whatever, shoes or boots or, Danner military boots or something like that. Whatever. I used to own a Danner boots, and those suckers fit like freaking gloves. It's the best dang military boots I've ever worn. Right? Non-issued, by the way. You have to buy those. They don't issue Danner boots, by the way. Danner, if you want to look up that company. Awesome company. Very comfortable boots, 8-inch military boots. They sell regular boots too, but they sell to a lot of military as well, and a lot of vets. But I walked over to him and he's changing the trash, and this time I'll tell you who his name is. I said, Richard, nice boots. I was just obvious like that, nice boots or whatever. So he's the kind of person that, he knows Ryan can be sarcastic a lot. I could be very sarcastic sometimes, especially in person, in real life, just to add a little humor to the situation. My way of, who, me or Richard? I wear anywhere between depends on the brand. Like the shoes that I'm wearing, like a $10 pair of regular shoes right now, like mesh shoes that are comfortable or whatever. Right now I'm wearing 10s. I think they're 10s without taking them off and showing you. We don't need to do that. We're not doing feet scopes or feet. But it depends on what brand I'm wearing. Mostly shoes. I'm usually good at 10s. But a lot of boots I wear are like 10s and a halves. But like the military boots that I have now, I wear them just because, not because I'm no longer in the military, but because military boots have great ankle and shank support. And I do a lot of walking. And those boots are designed to do rucksack marches or from walking from one end of the battlefield and marching to the other end of the battlefield. They're also great for if you're in combat too. They're going to stay on when you tie them, even if you tie them crappy, they're not going to untie on you. I think the laces are a little thin for the brand that I wear, but they stay laced, even if you're loose them up a little bit. Habby has a pair of new Danner with steel toe. Like I said, shout out Danner. They're awesome boots. They're freaking awesome. Hey Michelle, talking etiquette. We're kind of going all over the place too, and that's just me. Michelle, you already know that. Ryan goes all over the place. Sometimes he rants, and sometimes I'm, what do you call it? Just jabber on. So we talked about using moderators. One of our trolls that we had last night in the broadcast was from a YouTube troll, and he will never wear it. Huh, interesting. But we had somebody that kept demanding, and you guys noticed this happened a lot when on our Periscope days, where do this for me, do that, do it this way. I'm not about that, especially if I'm a guest on somebody else's stream and it's their broadcast. Unless they're talking specifically to the broadcaster, it's up to the broadcaster, I guess. So, by the way, Michelle, I mentioned you in context. I didn't say it was you, but I was telling everybody that I was referring to your comment earlier, your pre-comment or whatever you call them. I call them pre-comments. Let me turn my heater on. But I was telling everybody that you thought, again, I didn't say your name, but now everybody knows. But you said that it was an interesting topic, so I hope it is. I really do. So thank you for that. Um, I'm just looking at my notes. Speaking of looking at my notes, that's another thing. That's one thing that drives me self nuts. Is something that I do myself. Like right now, I have a point and a reason to do that. But especially if I'm a guest on somebody else's broadcast, I absolutely hate doing this. And it's just the trait of the nature. Sometimes you can't help it. But especially like if I'm using my 720p camera from it's fixed in a static shot. That's what it's called. A still shot is a still video is static that's built into the top screen of the of the laptop. You only can do so much with that, and you have to work with what you have, right? Um, but I hate the fact that I have to look in different areas of the screen, especially like what I'm doing right now. Like I don't know how much I'm alienating. God, I can't even pronounce that word right, but that's okay. Y'all, because I tend to I'm doing the same thing to myself. I'm thinking, Ryan, you can't be looking all over the place. Like I mentioned, like sometimes I'll look over here, or up a little bit because like maybe I'm thinking of what I need to say, like ad libbing. I did a lot. I'll stare out in space. It's real funny when I'm doing that in person in front of somebody. I sit there and I'm looking away from them because I'm thinking of my thought process, and they're sitting there like, and they're trying to follow my face, like as if they're literally grabbing my head and trying to. Okay, you're supposed to be looking at me right now, Ryan. Not off in space, right? So I kind of know what they're thinking, or at least they have a random thought about it. I don't know how that works, but I do have a potential fix. I don't know how well this is going to go because I'm going to use it in the traditional way, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in a minute. I almost had second thoughts of doing this, but I really, really wanted one, and finally, about an hour and a half ago, no, about 2 hours ago, a little bit before this broadcast, I pushed the purchase button on Amazon, and what I bought is it's not cheap, but it's not expensive either. You guys might think it's expensive, but I'm sure it'd be well hell worth it, and I hope it will be well worth it because I'm going to use this in the traditional way, and I'm going to use this in a I don't want to say unconventional way because more and more YouTubers and more streamers, especially if you're on Zoom, this is something great to use for Zoom. If you feel that you need to invest in some type of equipment to help you, this is great for Zoom, by the way, not just like pre-recorded like YouTube videos. I have lack of eye contact too, but that's a common autistic thing I was told for me. Really? Oh wow. I didn't know it was an autistic type thing. I just do it just because I do it. I don't really have found a reason why I do it. All I know is it helps me think a little bit better. But what I'm referring to is, and I'll explain this uh, regardless of, because there might be somebody out there watching and listening right now that may not know what one is. But I bought me a real teleprompter. And right now, unless I have it shipped in a different method or have a different place to have it picked up, which I don't need to because it's going to be shipped to an Amazon locker anyways. But hopefully earlier in the day, not late in the day, but earlier in the day on Saturday, instead of waiting until, oh, it'll be dropped off by 9 o'clock on Saturday. So I haven't figured that out on Amazon if there's a way I can like, hey, can you like deliver it by 5 or whatever time it happens to be. I'll literally count how long I'll look at someone, but my gaze wanders big time. Let's see. But I'll never be an on-camera guy. Not even on here. Much better for me being behind it. Some people are much, much more comfortable being behind a camera. That's a thing. It's totally different between behind a camera and in front of the camera. I knew you were going to say teleprompter. Yes, I would totally love one of those to keep me on track. Okay, so there are very cheap ones. There's ones if you're good at building things. Technically, you could probably build your own for literally a couple bucks, as long as you have the right materials. You can build one your own, and you don't have to go resort to Amazon or eBay or whatever marketplace that is. But Amazon's a great place. You don't need like the teleprompters that user personalities use on air. Those are studio teleprompters. The screens are about the size. They're probably to give you a perspective. The screens are literally probably about, I don't know as far as inches, but they're pretty close to the same size as my what I'm staring at right now, my 15 point something inch laptop screen. And when you look into those, you don't see the camera lens. You just look at the screen. And matter of fact, the screen lies flat. So it would lay flat. Obviously, we know what flat is. Okay, so pretend my atomic clock is like, pretend it's an iPad, right? And in this teleprompter, you can use a phone too. You can use an iPad or any tablet. You can use any phone too. So it's universal. It's not huge. There's some really big ones. There's some small ones. Some are specifically for phones, Android or Apple. Doesn't matter. But some of them are universal. Where this one, I think is kind of small. Like I could probably put like an iPad Mini in it, but I'm not going to put an iPad Pro into it. Oh, my etiquette doesn't suck. I work so hard, but my autism gets to me into trouble, and I'm annoying. First of all, I don't think you're annoying. Number one, far, far from it. But then we all learn from us criticizing ourselves. I get that. Yeah, that's how we learn from ourselves. Our mistakes. We're our own worst enemies regarding criticism. We can criticize others or tease others, right? But we're not criticizing ourselves. You don't want to criticize yourself to the point where, I don't know how to say it, like you don't want to beat yourself up, rather. Yeah, don't do that. Don't beat yourself up, right? But but yeah, I mean, obviously, like Michelle, I think knows how it works, but the screen is laying flat, so technically, you're actually not looking even at the monitor or the screen either, because it's laying flat, and then there's a piece of glass, clear piece of glass, and it's at an angle. A lot of them are like at a 45-degree angle. Some of them are at different angles for different reasons, depending on how fancy and what exactly you need it to do, what you want it to do, and what it's designed for. Some of them are designed for other things. Some have more features than others. But the point is, the traditional way is you feed a script onto the teleprompter, so to speak. Okay, so on that screen, and matter of fact, I I have the app. I've never even opened the app, so let's do this live right now because obviously I won't get it until Saturday. Hopefully, I get it early enough where I can show you on Saturday. Because if I have to wait until Sunday, then it'll be even later than now to even show you, because I'm on vacation now, but I should be back at work on Sunday, and I don't get home until almost 10 o'clock on Sundays. So let me find it first, and maybe I can actually give you an actual example I gotta find it first. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. It's in here. All right, let's click on this. Okay, so what I'm looking at now, there's a prompt because obviously I've never really opened this app before, but I've had it for a little bit, thinking that I would get the teleprompter sooner than what I will be in theory. Obviously it's going to come on Saturday, but if it comes late at night, I'll just pick it up at work on Sunday. No big deal. But it says it's telling me to press the button plus, and then buttons they have it highlighted in yellow to write your first script. While writing, select a phrase to highlight it. You can paste your script or open a file. Thank you. I do get overly self-critical. But this teleprompter thing sounds awesome. Tools for talking are so important for us to get better at public speaking. Yes. And that's what I meant by doing it traditional way. So it says after preparing your script, press play button to start the script in the prompter. Okay, so and then it gives you a choice between floating or full screen. So we're just going to leave it a floating because I can probably go back and change it at will. So I got to come up with a title, and again, what I'm writing is I'll write something silly. I'm writing, "Hi, how the hell are ya?" That would be great to open up a script with, right? Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I have this here, because like on the top right it says open file, so I could save a file, and then it's great for like if I'm sharing, like let's say there's like an aviation news event or something. I can use it in its traditional sense, so I can literally read. I don't know about word for word, but I can read somebody else's story and then put in my 2 cents, my perspective into it too, which is really cool because I can, you with Bluetooth, I can stop and start or pause. A lot of people think like the teleprompters that like the president uses. There's glass things. There's a teleprompter, except the screen. You're not seeing the screen. It's literally down at the base of it, and you're just seeing the glass itself. And everybody's like, "What the hell are these things?" A lot of them, that's not the actual script that they're reading. A lot of people think that. But there are traditional teleprompters, one on right and the left or whatever. But a lot of them, they do it. They just put in cue cards up there. Talk about this. Mention this. Here's my notes. So if I had it, I could have put my notes into my teleprompter and sit there and just like I'm not even looking at myself right now, but I'm looking dead into the camera right now. And the only thing that's helping me right now is I have a white light to the left of the freaking camera. That's it. I can even look at myself. So I could read the script and then I could sit there, and that's why I want to use it for here, is because I want to be able to look at myself, number one, but number two, I want to look at you. That gets you attention even more. It'd be great for when I'm doing a chat on a person and info about them. Yes. So there's different kinds. You just have to be careful on which one, because like I said, some of them have different capabilities. Some have more capabilities than others. I bought the Best View T2. It's called Best View T2 teleprompter, and I can do it in several different ways. I have a separate webcam, and I've used that before. So especially if I'm using that webcam, so I'm sitting there not looking at you guys and then looking down at the laptop and looking back up like this, being insanely, annoyingly obvious. But I think it's bad enough where I sit there and have to look at different parts of the screen when I'm maybe the screen's maybe 2.5 feet from my face, and I'm looking all around my screen. It's only 15 point something inch screen. I sit there and look at the comments, and I look at myself, and I'm looking at the camera. I'm sitting there staring out at space because I'm concentrating, and then I'm sitting there looking at my notes because really Ryan really paying attention to me right now. See, like a portrait of David Bowie. I could give a rundown about him. Yes, and what's cool, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me get a drink before I get a. Okay, sorry. Um, the main reason why I bought and I'm gonna have to figure out how in hell to do this. I'm sure there's a way. There's got to be a way. I'm very persistent. I can't make promises, but I'm down to finding a way to do this. Right? Is put the teleprompter in front of me, and instead of having a script, and I could go back and forth because you can put different things. So at one time, I can have an actual literal script that I rate and read that to you guys, especially if it's like an event that happened, especially an aviation event or something, and I need to explain something. I can write it and then talk about it. That way I don't miss. I have a nasty habit of sit there. We all do that, I'm sure, where we've meant to say something that we really needed to say something and we left it out. I don't know if you guys actually noticed, but my last year's May 4th broadcast, we have there's stones in the May 4th memorial, and I had over like 7,300 live viewers in that freaking broadcast, live, not like total viewers, but live, like right there watching it. Viral content. And I completely missed, and it wasn't the first time either, but that time it was more obvious where I completely missed one of the stones. I think it was the number 7 stone. Number 5 or number 7. I think it was the last one, number 7. I think it was 7 total. You walk around and you read certain excerpts and quotes on a stone, and you have to do it in order to tell the story. And I completely missed that. So what I can do, because it's walking distance from where I'm sitting right now, where I live, I could go over and that's my freaking homework for this year. I could take that because now I have to read that word by word because it's meant to. Because I have to read it to you as if you're standing right next to me and you're reading it for your daggone selves. And that's up to me to provide the viewers that, and I totally missed that. And nobody knew that I even missed anything at all. It's the beauty of being live, right? Blooper that nobody even caught. It's kind of like doing like if we're playing, like if I'm playing the drums and I hit the wrong tom on the drum set. Or maybe I hit the snare a little too early one time. It might not be too noticeable to the average folk, but sit there and might mess the whole damn band up. That messed me out because sit there and when I scoped down, because I was on Periscope, I said, oh, shoot. What in the hell did I just do? And unless I call that to attention, which what I'm doing exactly right now, I don't think anybody even noticed. I don't think anybody really cared. But what I want to do is take your comments, okay, highlight them to the point where, because what I want to try to do is, like I said, I know there's a way, I just don't know how yet. I've downloaded all kinds of YouTube videos, and I still have yet to find time to watch them. But with the screen that I'm looking at now in Hap Studio, is take all your comments, every single one of them, as they're popping up in the respective left side of my screen, because that's where they are. If you guys don't know that, those of you who are watching like on Twitter or YouTube, I'm looking at them on my left side of the screen. And separate that in a totally separate window. Hover that Okay, so that's what they called a floating script. Okay, that's why floating is. Okay, you cared and you were self-critical, and then you want to do better next time. Yes. So this time, I have no excuse not to miss that. Okay. Plus, last year I didn't have time to really do any homework before, anyways. So I was all working and everything. But I can highlight those to the point where I can see nothing but the comments. Make them transparent where I still see your comments. And even they're still being the same color in white, written in white. I can even highlight them if I want. Perhaps gives me the beautiful idea to highlight them on the screen that you guys can read them too, or whatever. But that whole window, I can make it transparent so I can see through that. And what I can do is use the monitor, my phone, because that's what I'll be using. I'll be using my phone. Because right now my phone's not doing anything. So now I've used the way to use my phone while I'm on my laptop and take the main screen. Like right now, it's just me, myself, and I. But especially if I'm a guest on somebody else's broadcast, or if they're my guest in this broadcast, I'm looking directly at you now. I don't have to look all over the screen because the camera is right there. So I'm staring into the camera, but my brain says that I'm looking at a screen, like it's a second monitor. So I could do that too, and the idea is to use the best both at the same time, which can be done. I just gotta figure out how to do it. Is what I'm saying. So it's yeah. So that's all it is. It's a little tray in front that holds whatever monitor that specific teleprompter can hold, whether it's an actual camera monitor in an actual studio. In this case, it'll be more time than almost always. It'll be my phone. Be running the teleprompter app on my phone, right? Because right now I don't need to use my phone unless I'm looking up something. So that begs the question, because I've already wondered this. How am I going to use that teleprompter if I'm using my phone and I'm not using my laptop because I'm out in the field, such as the May 4th memorial? What am I going to do? Bring the whole damn laptop? No. That'd be silly if I could. I mean, hey, more power to me, right? More power to me. I mean, I'm sure I look slightly ridiculous taking a laptop and finding how to, laptops are already, they're mobile. I don't even know if they want to say portable, but you know, because in that case, I want to use, instead of like a stabilizer, because that's what I did last year. I used a stabilizer, and the year before, I actually used a real Steadicam. And if you guys don't know what a Steadicam is, which I do know how to operate, by the way, is a lot of movies, a lot of high-end budget movies will use them because they're expensive to run, operate, rent, and or buy. There's Steadicams you can buy for a couple $100s that anybody can afford, or you could get the real deal from a company called Tiffin that was started by the inventor of the Steadicam. I think his name is James Garrett or something like that. Hey Vince, how's it going? Welcome on board. Hello from Alhambra. Alhambra. But for those of you who don't know what a Steadicam is it's a mechanical stabilizer. So instead of like the DJI stabilizers that are motorized and they have 3 axes, they have more like 4 or 5 axes, right? And what they do is it consists of three things. It consists of a vest. Okay. Then you have a mount on the vest. You can mount it on the bottom right or the bottom left. There's an arm. It's what's called a dual articulating arm. I know that's fancy. And we're getting fancy here. Bear with me here. But it's an arm that works no different than your arm. I'm doing great, Vince. How are you? Thank you for asking. I'm doing pretty well. So, Vince, I know you asked me in the pre-live as well, but this is more of just to call people to attention kind of thing. Nobody's being mean or nobody's angry or mad or upset, kind of, but concerned maybe a little bit, tiny bit, but something that needed to be talked about the. And I know I'm ranting and raving about steady cams and teleprompters or whatever, but not trying to disrupt your train of thought. But what did I miss earlier in the cast about etiquette? Okay, so we kind of, because you know how I am, so I tend to start almost all over the place, all over the board, because that's just who I am. That's another reason why I'll have that teleprompter where I'm not going back and forth or telling the same story and then interrupting myself and then going back to the story 10 different times. Because I do that too. Like I'm doing that right now. So I did mention that there's obviously no malice in this broadcast. We talked about presenting ourselves on camera. Vince, you do a good job of holding yourself as a host, as a broadcaster. Regardless if you think so or not, I don't know that. But you seem to hold yourself pretty well. Michelle, you do too, as well. Anybody else out there? You does. Pete does as well. Both awesome examples. We talked about how a lot of these notes are from a YouTube video that I watched. Actually, 2 YouTube videos that I watched before going live tonight. Just a real quick thing to get me started and motivated, right? But they mentioned, and I wrote this. It says that so my number 4 note is we are entertainers, like it or not. And then I also number 7. Michelle, Vince, I asked everybody else before you guys actually joined, so I'm going to ask a second time because you are now here. Okay, we're going to mention a highly debatable word. Something I think we all are, regardless of whether we know it or not. Something that we think that a lot of famous people are for that respective reason. We would automatically think a famous person, regardless of who they are, as an influencer, not just you and I. So I want your opinions tonight. Okay. Do you think of yourself at any level, even the slightest tiniest bit, or maybe you think yourself as a Casey Neistat type level? That's cool too. You don't have to be Casey Neistat's competition directly, or even indirectly. You don't have millions of followers on YouTube to be an influencer. You don't have to be the most well-known or most well-rounded or most respected here on Haps or whatever platform that you're using, live or pre-recorded, doesn't matter. Do you guys think yourselves as influencers in any way, shape, or form? Like I said, even in the slightest part. Why or why not? Because that's the note that I wrote down, because that's what I got from the YouTube, and I tend to believe it. That's my personal choice to believe it. And he said, we're all influencers, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. Believe me, we're all influencers because it's part of being live, right? I have a massive following on TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But if you have 10,000 something followers on TikTok, obviously that person's doing something right? Does that mean I'm an influencer because I've never done a TikTok before? And I have 4 followers, and I'm probably following over 100 something. Probably not in that case, though. But even when we're not live, even daily lives, if we're a leader, regardless of where the leader needs to be or where they are physically or mentally, why that leadership needs to exist, that's influence, right? Among others. Set that example. Hold that room to your energy. Michelle says, no, I do feel, however, I'm a minority in what weather, and that whether I like it or not, I represent who I am, I guess. Okay. So, in literal forms of the word, okay. And we were talking about this earlier. That's a thing. Regardless of what your opinion is, or, we're neutral here, but how far left, or how far right, or how liberal, or how Democratic, how Republican, or how anything is, right? You know, um, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to call ourselves influencers. I guess that's what I'm saying. Um, but that's what we're doing. It's more of a, instead of like a noun, person, place, or thing, as an influencer, you can use that as a, that's doing. So that would be what, a verb. You're influencing somebody else. Somebody who likes Ryan's ideas, so they carry on with it. Okay, it could be anything. It could be halfway in the middle of the freaking highway because you're on a cross country road trip, and there's you traveling through some town on the highways over to your right or to your left or whatever, and like, oh yeah, we need to stop because we need to eat and we need to utilize the latrine kind of thing or whatever. And somebody mentioned in context, or maybe you see an advertise for it, and there's some random small mom and pop shop, whether it's a retail outlet or especially a restaurant, right? You see this car pulling into this restaurant. It's like, not sure what it is, but it seems like it sounds good, right? And we want to follow that other person in there, right? How many? Can't really pronounce that word. Clerical Native Americans do people even see on live media? For example, so I guess I have to carry myself in a good way as a native voice. It's a good point. The first person besides you that comes to mind, the very first person is, I think you know her too. Vince knows who she is, but Tala, no excuses. She holds herself very, very well for those reasons because she's not only representing herself, but I think she's, I don't know if she still is. I think so. Uh, was part of a tribe, I think. Somebody help me out here. She knows a lot about that, yeah. But I don't really get the whole definition of influencer. Be anything you wanted to, Michelle. I'm glad you asked that because I almost didn't mention anything along those lines. Um, I guess to answer your question, it could be anything that you want it to mean. Forget Merriam-Webster or whatever other dictionary that makes it official, the actual definition. Maybe we take it verbatim as that actual definition and hold ourselves to it. More power to you. But influencers, just like I just gave that random example, is, you know, The people in front of you pulled in this random restaurant. You may not even know who the hell those people are, where they're from, or they're good people, bad people, weird people, odd people, old people, young people, a group, a single person, doesn't matter. And you sit there and think to yourself, and we all think of it in a different way, but like, well, if they're going there, they must like it, they must have heard of it, or maybe they want to do the same thing you are and sit there and they're trying it for the first time too. That's influencing, right? Same thing at the grocery store. You're buying something new. It's a new, maybe it's a new brand. Hey, did you buy this? Yeah. Did you like it? Well, they're sold out, so I can't buy any more, Ryan. Guess that's an influencer, right? Why'd you go there versus somewhere else? If you've never been there before. That's a great example. But then that's one of my areas where it can mean anything. So it's so broad that it's almost difficult to describe because it's meant to be so broad. It's not nothing specific at all. Um, so yeah, moving on. Um, here's a good one. Okay, here's something I didn't mention yet. Okay, because this can go all over the place. When you guys are a guest in somebody else's broadcast, okay, when somebody joins, okay, as a viewer, and I haven't seen any issue that I know of, nothing even remotely that would be considered an issue. But um, let's talk about addressing viewers for a moment. How does this relate to etiquette? Um, you can more think of it as do's and don'ts. Again, I took this more from a YouTube that was more specifically talking about Twitch, but to be honest, what this person was talking about, even though he's specifically talking about Twitch and what people do and don't do and how they do it on the specific platform of Twitch, right? A lot of these, what all my notes here can be applied to anywhere. Facebook Live, it can be here on Haps. You know, we have to hold ourselves together. You know, we can't expect somebody to do something just because we want them to do it. Like we had that problem last night where we had a troll because I was multicasting and I was a guest on Yuke's broadcast, and the person's like, "Tell Yuke this, tell Yuke that, and Ryan's this and Ryan's that," or "Tell Yuke I love her," and or can you what is this, a Billy Joel group? Play some Billy Joel songs. Yeah, tips. Yeah, yeah. And one of the reasons why I did it, not that anybody has, maybe somebody has and I missed it. I don't know. But and if it hasn't been done by the Haps team, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before it'll be mentioned too. But I didn't see anybody as of yet here on Haps saying, okay, this is the etiquette. This is the do's and don'ts when you're live. These are the do's and don'ts when you're live on somebody else's as a guest. And these are the do's and don'ts as a viewer, kind of thing. I've yet to see anybody even coming remotely close to doing what I'm doing right now. So Billy Joel, oh my God, that's the guy my dad's age. Oh. He's just some random dude, and I was in Hughes broadcast, but he was watching on my channel, and he was getting to the point where he was kind of a troll, but more of a pester, kind of annoying, kind of weirdo. I'm not trying to call him a weirdo, but his behavior was emulating a weirdo to the point where it's like, okay, enough is enough. And um, not necessarily because he requested it, which that too, obviously. But that was the right thing to do, is just kill my multicasting right away. Just to kill them. Just to, you know, that's the easiest way, is just go up in the studio and turn them off. Not end the broadcast here, but then just end it through Twitter and YouTube, where I was last night. So he came way out of left field, and it was just kind of weird. Let's do. But yeah, more so addressing viewers if we're a guest. So I kind of alienate myself too, and I guess it's something we have to get used to as a guest, especially me. You know, I have to get used to it. But let's say you're in the middle of something and somebody joins, so it's one thing, and it goes both ends of the spectrum, right? So, um, we notice this a lot on Periscope. This broadcaster never said hi to me. What the hell is their problem? Then again, it goes both ways. Sometimes you don't want to interrupt whoever's talking, especially if you're not the only guest, or maybe you're just talking with the guest. Maybe it's just the two of you, or the two people rather. And they come in, and let's say you just now joined, so there's this interrupted conversation, like, "Hi, Michelle. Hi, Vince. Hi, Pete. Hi, Uke." Wherever, I'm getting a vibe that a lot of broadcasters, a lot of hosts don't really seem to mind that. I don't know what they're thinking internally, because I haven't heard really anybody talk about this on their channels. Yeah, I just shut off Periscope for sexually inappropriate troll was getting so weird. Sorry. Mm. But then again, I mean, that's one of the things, like, it's awesome to simulcast and have that ability, that privilege, so to speak, here on Haps, to go to, what is it, 10 different platforms all at once. That's just the ultimate geek and cool factor, is I'm live on YouTube right now, and I don't have anywhere near 1,000 subs. I think I have like 137, 138 subs, something like that. That's such a balance to talk to people in the chat, and then the ones in the broadcast. So, and it goes like several different ways, because like if you're in the middle of something, and if you're not the one talking, so if they're here in Haps, and you guys probably already know this, but if they're here in Haps, it makes it easy, because I sit there and I can just comment no different than anybody else can, and then I can do it two different ways. I can send a private message, or it could be public. But then at the same time, if they're on a different platform, so now they don't see us. So last night, and when I was on Uke's broadcast last night, I literally had to go into my own broadcast on YouTube, ban and block and report that troll. Gave him a chance and sit there, and he blew it, whatever. And I finally just, it's the easiest thing. Like, to me, that's a perspective. Is that there's like, well, why didn't you just kill the, I think Debbie mentioned that. Debbie was here earlier. I don't know if you're still here, Debbie. But I think you're the one that mentioned that, is just kill them off. The two, both Twitter and YouTube. And it was the easiest, whatever, to do. So I had to resort to that, because they were just multiplying like yin yangs. And, I'm not about that, especially doing that I turn my heater off. Um, but at the same time, it's like you almost feel like you want to interrupt those who are talking because others are doing it anyways, and that's how I understand that a lot of broadcasters don't really tend to have a problem with it because other I see it in almost any other where we'll just randomly say, so if I use you as an example, you just now joined and let's say I had a guest on, whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, hi Michelle. It- to me, it just alienates me because now I feel like I've just alienated you in both ways. I kept quiet because I don't want to interrupt. Okay, Ryan didn't say hi to me. What the hell? Right? But then it's there's like, hi, 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 hi. Now maybe everybody else is saying hi too. So you could go both ways and still be respectful on both ends of the spectrum, but then it can backfire real quick. I haven't seen it backfire yet. I'm sure sometime it's bound to, you know. So uh, another thing I hate, and this is kind of a pet peeve, is self promotion. And on one hand, that's okay because a lot of broadcasters accept that for what it is, the self promotion type thing. But at the same time, it's like, and you've seen broadcasts where that, sit there and they could be both ways. Like you could tell me that um, somebody else is live, or maybe I can interrupt myself, even as a broadcaster. I'm like, oh yeah, this person's live. Go watch him. Oh, so you're not gonna watch me now? Like how some people will pause the chat and everyone acknowledges the comments for a minute. That's where I get where it's the best and worst of both worlds at the same time, where we all stop, we all interrupt ourselves as a whole. We're just going around like, hi, 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 hi. I don't know if you noticed this, but I kind of feel even more weird when somebody's like, okay, well, thanks for a good time. I gotta go. I gotta go to bed now, kind of thing. I just kind of feel weird. But I'm kind of like that. Not that I'm trying to be proper, but just the proper way of being respectful, if that makes any sense. So self promotion, there's a time and place, but if that's all they do in a chat and they're super repetitive, it gets borderline rude. Exactly. Right. Um, you know, yeah, there's definitely broadcasters on here that'll do it. You know, oh yeah, this person's live, just in the middle of nowhere. Thanks for telling me. Okay. So now you expecting me to watch two different devices? Hey, but then that's up to the broadcaster to decide. That's because some broadcasters are hosts, if you will. They're all down for that. Sometimes it's specifically, hey Ryan, I don't know who the hell you are, and I just invited you up. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay, I'm an aviation geek. I talk life stuff like what I'm doing now, life hacks. Um, we had this problem yesterday as well in Nuke's broadcast, and um, so I got a little. I don't want to say things got heated, but I could have gotten to the point where I could have made things if I chose to a little bit of heated thing. Okay, so y'all watching the replay that are not here, or maybe you're watching in the background, wherever. Um, don't don't ever. This is one of those do as I say, don't as I do, not that I ever have kind of things. But um, even if you put something in, and we're talking about sharing personal information. Okay, so if you're a viewer or if you're the guest, unless there's a very specific reason and a damn near good reason, a very excellent reason to share personal information, don't do it in chat. Because even if you have that pink comment that's coming up as private, you're not the only one that's seeing it. Okay, so this was addressed in. There's a gentleman, I don't know him too well, but he's a YouTuber. He's not too well known on YouTube, but that's not his first thing. Let me get a drink here. Hold on. Excuse me. But this guy's a military guy. Okay, he's National Guard. I almost said reserve, but this guy, the guy that I'm referring to, is in New York. I think downtown Manhattan. I think he is, but New York City, right? And he's both a recruiter. He's been a recruiter for like 12, 15 years, something like that, for quite a while. Well, he's also a part-time United States Army drill sergeant as well. So he has both ends of the spectrum because if you guys don't know, there's kind of like let's do a um, football reference. You know, the Browns and Steelers are rivalries, right? Just like Michigan and what is it, Michigan and Green Bay? Who's the other one? It's Michigan and no, Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan and Ohio State rivalries. Browns and Steelers rivalries. Well, in the military, and specifically the United States Army, these rivalries, even though they're two, so in a way we're comparing apples to apples, but then at the same time we're comparing apples to oranges, where it's two totally separate ends of the spectrum, two different duties, because not like officially, but that's one of the first things that I noticed and what a lot of Army recruits in BCT and basic combat training, Lions and Green Bay. Okay, thank you. Michigan and Ohio State, yes. Um, but just like two football teams are rivalries. Well, instead of two football teams in the Army, okay, having nothing to do with sports, even though they have sports teams, believe it or not. Um, and even though they're two different responsibilities, two different MOSs, drill sergeants have a knack of, I don't want to say hate, maybe they love to hate recruiters. Again, I'll say that again. So drill sergeants tend to hate recruiters. Now, I don't know if it's the other way around too, but you'll hear that. Because almost every single cycle, a drill sergeant would say to a private or um, to a recruit or trainee, I sit there and wonder why the hell you were in basic training, right? Um, I will tell you the same thing. Um, if you guys didn't know this, one thing that I was never a drill sergeant, just to make that clear, but one thing that a drill sergeant, part of the culture, maybe okay. One of the things that a drill sergeant hates being told, especially by a trainee, don't ever, ever, ever go up to a drill sergeant, even if you're being nice or respectful, or maybe you feel like you can get along with the drill sergeant and you're in blue phase and you have 3 days until graduation. Still do not ever, ever, ever go up to a drill sergeant and either thank them or literally saying, "Thank you, drill sergeant." Why is that? Because the drill sergeant is going to sit there and think they'll tell you how it is, and I will too, because that's what I'm about. I tell you how it is here on this channel. How is it? Drill sergeant will always tell you. If you think a drill sergeant, they will always tell you the same thing, even if they don't want to, but I'm sure they do want to, is, in quote, they say, "Don't think me, think your recruiter." Every single drill sergeant that I know has said that, well, like multiple times to multiple trainees. They'll all tell you that same thing, almost exactly the same exact words. "Don't think me, think your recruiter." So I make a joke out of it, especially with my coworkers at work, knowing that I'm a veteran. So I make a joke about it because I'll tell them that too. Like, if you ever go in the military, don't think your DIU drill instructor, because that's what they tell you. So I reword it because obviously at work, yeah, it has nothing to do with military. So, especially like, I don't mind getting thank yous, not because of the military, but if I do something for you and you're my coworker, and I say this more jokingly than serious, but I will say, I usually tell my coworkers, I even told my bosses to just to get a little giggle out of them. But I will say, instead of saying, "Don't think me, think your recruiter," I will say, "Don't think me, think your parents." Now you guys can take that forever that is. And why do they say that? Think your recruiter? Think of it this way. How'd you get to where you are right now? So imagine yourself, put yourself in that soldier's boots. How did that future soldier get there? By their recruiter, right? It's the only reason why they're there is because a recruiter got you to where you are. Now you had to pull a lot of damn weight yourself. And believe me, I had to too. And everybody that joins the military, regardless of branch, you have to pull your own weight too. You have to provide the right paperwork. You have to pass MEPS. You have to get your paperwork in order, dot your I's, cross the T's, everything. But who helped you? Because if you didn't have the help from a recruiter, you can't be there on your own. You have to have a recruiter. I thank my parents and teachers all the time, and I'm 55. Good, good. Yeah, I have yet for somebody to get pissed off about that statement, especially in person and in real world. But that's why I'm more of jokingly saying that, like, hey, because that could be a statement that really could actually end up ticking somebody off. I can see it now. "Don't think me, think your parents." Well, what if you don't have any parents? I mean, obviously you came from somewhere. I obviously, but maybe you were adopted or a foster child, or maybe you hate parents or you don't talk to them, they don't talk to you, don't treat you as family. All that negativity that happens to lots of us, right? And that's one thing that I get it. I can see that where it can generally upset the living hell out of somebody hearing something like that. That's up to them. I don't know what their nobody's personal situation is. Only that person knows, right? Um, but yeah, we kind of touched on this, but back to like personal information. Yeah, don't ever share personal information because even I've noticed that in last night's broadcast, and somebody gave personal information, a personal email, and we were all over the place about this. And I was just telling, like, no, just don't do it at all. And then some even Yuka was okay with it, and that was her broadcast, so that's her decision to be okay with it because she was the host of that show. Did what trigger someone recently? If you're referring to, or they had crappy parents, okay. Um, Not that I know of, if I understand you correctly, the meaning behind that question, but no, I can see that. I can see that literally, pissing somebody off or upsetting somebody. And it's not meant to piss anybody off or upset them or make them, make them upset or disturb them, anything. But you know, back to the army thing. They don't know how you got there. I mean, they know the process that you went through, but that's almost another reason why they say that. Don't thank me, thank your recruiters, because another reason why they say that is because they're sitting there wondering why the hell you got there. How'd you manage to get here, kind of thing. A lot of drill instructors will think that, thinking, okay, well, this future soldier shouldn't be here because they're going to kill somebody in combat or they're going to get killed themselves. Because that's what they're thinking, because that's what basic combat training is. It simulates combat. That's what you're learning how to become a soldier. Okay, we're on this private information thing now. Yes, yeah, I actually agree. You have to be careful what you share. And to put it in perspective, since I don't think you were there last night, but what happened was, so that's a good reason why I had this as not as a general tip, a do's and don't, more of a don't tip. But somebody ran a contest like right. It was another um, guest on Yuke's broadcast, and nobody really had a problem per se. That okay, well, I'm gonna send you something, but I need your email, or maybe you can come up with like a fake email kind of thing, or whatever, or one-time deal email type thing. But no, they just gave their email. They is in the another guest, a live guest. He put his email in there. That way, a viewer could get in contact with him because he wanted to did some kind of random on the spot like contest or something. We're just having a good old time. And he's like, well, he had like it's like the highest level of rewards that you could get like for Chick-fil-A, right? And he was saying like if you send like a certain award to Uke, and the first one that does it, I might be slightly off here, but something similar to like, okay, well, the first one that does it, whatever, and it has to be like a minimum amount or something. I will send you the reward because I can. Chick-fil-A allows him to do that, so he's like, I can give out as many rewards as I can, but I just need the email link or whatever, or send you my email, and that's what he did. And then sit there and put it in, and he's like, I don't care if I share it. And I'm like, no, don't, or whatever. And everybody else shared their 2 cents about it or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's okay. And so then you go back up and you delete it. Or even if you delete something, it's always there. What's on the internet, it's always there. Never erased. Those ones and zeros have already been figured. May not see it anymore, but it's still there. So it's a good way to get hacked. Well, that goes out to so many places, that information. Yikes. That would scare me too to do that. And I was just telling him right there, it's like, DM him or find him on Instagram or wherever, message on TikTok or wherever. I don't think anybody mentioned TikTok, but you get the point. Is why do it in the chat? Because like I said, even if it's a private chat which pops up in pink, now the broadcaster and everybody that's live, all the other guests can see that. Well, think about all the destinations I went out to. Of course, of course. He seemed like he didn't care. So, hey, don't. I mean, he didn't have to listen to me. Not that he needed to, but you know, I don't know. I had this a few weeks back. One of my last, at least as far as my notes are concerned. I don't know if I'll think about anything else, but one of my last uh actually my last note is I put mention stopping away as the host. So I did that once or twice as a broadcaster. I've stepped away before, and when I came back, like all it seemed like it was normal. But then one of my guests filled me in saying um, that a viewer and one of the guests had a legitimate 2 or 3 minute argument with each other when I stepped away. I think I had to use a restroom or something and get water, something along those lines. So I thought I would mention that is be careful on how you hold yourself as a broadcaster. It's like, okay, well, I gotta get up and pee now, so I'll be right back, folks. You know, please, especially if you have a guest on, highlight them, put them full screen, or keep everybody there, depending on how the broadcast is going. And then assign, this army slang, but assign a battle buddy, somebody who will back you up. Like, okay, you can host for the 5 minutes that I'm gone, and then come back and whatever. I wish I had a way to DM here so that people can have private chats, not disrupt the chat with a kind of spammy side discussion too. Yeah, we need it across the board because right now, like, I don't know because I'm solely by myself, so I don't know how that would work. But like, if I reply to you right now in the comments, which I can do, if I kept it pink, let me try that. I'm gonna try that live. I'm gonna reply to you, okay, in the chat, and I want you to tell me if you can see that because I don't know. Maybe they've fixed it, or maybe they've addressed that issue or fixed that. I don't even know if it really is an issue. But as far as I understand right now, if a comment is pink, the only way that you can see that is if you're my guest, and it's great for like not interrupting the conversation. I must be a battle buddy. People have asked me to do that. Yeah. Whoops. Wait, hold on. Okay. Okay, so I click on your name to reply to you. So I'm gonna write hi. I'm just putting a random word. I'm gonna keep it pink. Okay, which means it's private. So I don't know. Have to be a moderator for me to see it. Wonder if I can do that. Maybe I can change that in. I mean, me being live right now. Maybe I can. But you can't see that. Let's see here. Let me see if it'll let me do that on my phone here. I'm gonna go into settings. I'm gonna add. I'm gonna see if I can add you as a moderator. Went the wrong one. Okay, moderation. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know how the thing comes up, how soon it comes. Yeah, I just added you as a moderator. Okay, I was hoping I was able to do that. I had to go into my profile on my phone and my channel. Oops. So cool. So that means just only you and I can see that, but nobody else can. And I do notice that a lot of um, again, I don't know if they're moderators or not, but I'll notice that a lot of guests of people's broadcasts will do that where I'll put it in pink, and usually, like if I do that, somebody points it out like right away. You were a moderator for me on Parody. I need to add you too. Thank you. Appreciate that. But turn my heater off again. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't earlier, but you are now. So. So still feel viewable to any guest. Okay. All right. Little bit of change of subject because obviously I still have yet to do this, but I still need to send you that audio interface. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to send it to you. You mentioned earlier that you have a problem with because of the area that you live in, USPS. So I'm not going to do that. So I will when I send it to you. I'll probably I'm thinking either FedEx or UPS. I can send it to you. And guess what? Hold on a second. I got something. Because that's not only. Hold on. You'll see what a second. See, you'll see what I will show you in a second. Because you're gonna get this too. Because I no longer need it. You have an iPhone, so you can use this, and it works with iPhone. Specifically for iPhone. It doesn't work for Android. Hold on. I hate this chair. But again, I shouldn't be complaining. It's not mine. DM me on Twitter. Yes, I need. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I should have done it automatically today. I should have, because I actually had a package. Um, was going to do an unboxing as part of this broadcast as well, but obviously I couldn't put that in the title because I ran out of space. But DM me on Twitter. Yes, I need to give you info, but excuse me. Yes. All right. Remember that dual thingy that I was talking about that cost $40 flipping? Ain't kidding. I spent $40 on this thing. Don't come with an iPhone. Don't come with any iPhone. No, never, ever, ever will. As long as Tim Cook is in charge. You know that thingy. Okay, obviously you know what a lightning connector is. Obviously, duh. Right. So obviously the lightning connector, and then could put my address in chat, but that'd be so against the theme of this. Yeah, no, Michelle, no. Yeah, don't do that. Even if you go back and what they did yesterday is like, well, just go back and erase it. Yeah, 40. It was like 39.88 or something, or 39.99 or something. All right. So it's kind of hard to see, but this is a trusted brand for iPhone. It's a third-party accessory. Is that upside down? It looks upside down to me. I think that is upside down. There we go. Belkin. This is the brand name. Very, very respected third-party seller brand name. More of a brand, not a seller. I should say brand. This. This. All right. Just as I said earlier. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. Okay. Headphone jack and the lightning port. The female version. You know, you got the male, and obviously it goes into the phone. You know, I already know that. Oops. There we go. And then there you go. Lightning in 3.5 millimeter. Use spoken with no problems. Yes. Yeah, because they're certified through Apple. Apple had actually approved them. Yes. So this is coming with that, you know, and I no longer need either one. And this was $40, and the audio interface is like, I want to say about 150, or was 150 when I bought it, but I bought it a few years back, so it'll work for you. So yeah, you have four, technically six. You can't use all six at once. You only have two channels on it, but you have six inputs. Okay, so you have two 3.5 millimeter inputs on the audio device. Let me see if I still have it in the bag. Hold on. I know you've seen it before. Let me see if I still. By the way, you're more than welcome to join in if you want. If not, then that's okay. Use my Rode mic with my phone broadcast. Yes, and Twin enables that, so you can use this in conjunction. So we'll show it again for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. Besides those of you who are other than Michelle, but um, again, this is called the Ceremonic Smart Rig Plus. There's a Smart Rig and this Smart Rig Plus. All right, so the Smart Rig has just one of these, one channel only. Plus, there you go, two channels. So that's why I said six. Only looks like it's four inputs, but that's actually six inputs right there. Okay. You can't, Bob is sleeping. Okay. No biggie. Okay, but this is only two channels, so you can only plug in two things at once. Just two. But that's okay. So I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but there's certain microphones and certain audio devices that are powered. Okay. And that's why this uses a battery. Okay, because you don't always need to have the battery on here using this. But there's I forget what they're called, but there's special microphones, high-end microphones that use what's called phantom power, and that's why these here. I forget the name of it. Hold on. What is the devices that use phantom power? What is it called? All right, let me Google that again. Sorry, hold on. Phantom power microphones. What is that connected to? What type of connection? All right. Google's not liking me at all right now. Phantom microphones are usually like condenser microphones, and I forgot the word of it. Um, that's the word I'm looking for. Oh, it's 3 letters. That's why I couldn't think of that. Okay. These are called XLR inputs. XLR. Okay. You don't really need those, but if you have anything that requires phantom power that uses an XLR, not all XLR inputs use phantom power, by the way. You know, we're getting a little fancy. Thank you. But that's why these are so big. You have that, you know, let me point with my, like right here, the outside of that, right here. And then you have the inside, the middle. Okay. What's nice about these phantom ports here is if you have the bigger version of 3.5 is the 6.5, the quarter-inch jacks. If you have anything that has the quarter-inch jacks instead of the 3.5, this is the big version of this. Obviously, you know what a 3.5 is, obviously. So the quarter-inch, the 6.5, I think it's 6 or 6.5 inch, quarter-inch. So the quarter-inch goes in the middle here on either channel. Or, just as an example, I know that's a closed loop, so you would normally not do that, but just to give you an example of what the hell I mean, is you have the two. You don't need an adapter now. If you have 3.5 inputs in here, then you just use the top there, and then you can choose what channel you're using, or both. You have a little switch on here. You have 2 of them. The one on the top, well, I'm blowing my microphone off the water here. All right, the one on the top here is you'll see the picture of that little square thing there. Theoretically, it's representing a cell phone, right? And then the picture of a camera, or what looks like a drawing of like a DSLR mirrorless camera. Okay, so you can choose what your like an actual camera. Is it like a camcorder, or regular like DSLR, or a mirrorless, or whatever, or even a point and shoot, really. Who would want to do video with a point and shoot? But you can. You'd be limited on time though. But yeah, you just tell it what you actually have this plugged into, right? And then the bottom is you have off, where you're not using the battery. Okay, the bottom one. Okay, so it says 48 volt. That's your phantom power. So go to phantom power. And if you have a condenser mic, you need phantom power, because that mic needs an electric source other than the audio source that it's using the microphone for, to power the microphone, because That's how they work. You just turn it on, regardless if it's your phone or any damn microphone or camera where that you want. You just turn it off. And then you can hear what you're recording. There. So this here is your output. Here, this is your output. These are all the inputs. So this is your main audio source. See, because that's interface. That's why you have the 3 black rings instead of 2. The guy who did a podcast tutorial mentioned that. Yes. Yes. You can specifically switch it. And then these levels here, the knobs themselves that turn, okay, that's the power of your audio source. There, okay, those are called gain knobs. So it doesn't change the pitch of the sound, but the power of the microphone, how much power that you need, because sometimes you can talk at a regular level like what I'm doing right now. Excuse me. Right now, right, into like this USB microphone that I have. This one here is a USB microphone. But some microphones you literally have to talk like this to sit there and now sit there and it makes you sound like this because the way the power is. And when it's making you sound like you're whispering like this, you turn the gain knob up. And that's basically more like electricity, because that's what a microphone does, right? So it takes the sound and turns it into electricity into a signal, and then it reconverts it at the source. It's handy to adjust the gain on either input. Yes. And that's why I used it when I was last time I used this was my my Abbey Road broadcast. Hi Nick, welcome on board. Thank you for being on my channel on YouTube. How you doing? We talked a lot about you missed it. Feel free to watch the replay, obviously. But we talked a little bit about etiquette. Actually, we dove real deep into live broadcasting etiquette. We're kind of all over the place, and that's just kind of how I am. I tend to think all over the place. I had my notes. We were getting a little fancy with talking about audio and everything else. While we're on audio, one thing that I didn't mention is, and I'm going to shout her out, and hopefully that's okay. But Space Gal uses a audio mic, and I'm not sure what mic she has. I think it's a USB as well, but it doesn't really matter. But maybe she's comfortable with her setup with her mic. But you notice her mic, you'll notice. I don't know how well you guys can hear me, but her mic is more not pointing up like how mine is right now. It's more of. But you guys get what I'm saying. See how I have to, like, if I don't move myself now because I moved my microphone, now I almost feel like I need to lean into the microphone so y'all can hear me. I was just stopped at the airport because there was another man named Nick Kerr. It was a huge situation. Dude, I'm sorry. Holy moly. Holy moly. So they thought you were somebody else with the same name. Yeah. And I don't know if she really is or not, but with Space Girl, I almost feel like I'm doing it myself too. I almost want to feel like I'm, even if my mic is real close to me. My mic is designed where it has to be real close to me. I'm not, don't eat the microphone. That's, heavy metal or rap artists do that, but I'm no singer. um, Nick, talk to me exactly what happened. I'm sorry that happened, bro. He's always a troll. All right, we're going with it. We'll see where this takes us. Because I don't know about this situation, but that has actually happened before. It actually happens more often than you think. Where somebody's at an airport and somebody's mistaken identity. Don't say it out loud. Oh, okay. Again, ladies and gentlemen, my apologies for not knowing that. Okay, I think I did that. Okay. Oh, you didn't? Okay. You caught it right away. Okay. Thank you, Yuke. That's why I like Yuke so much, because I don't pretend to know it all, but there's still a lot that I don't know that she happens to know that literally saves the day. Need to have a late dinner. Check in later if you're still on hugs. Thank you. Yeah, I'm still quite a ways away from 250, but I still have time. We still have all the way to Sunday. All right, let me get out of there. I'm still on my own thing on broadcast on YouTube. There we go. Okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You appreciate you. You're awesome. Truly a lifesaver. But then that's where we were talking about, that's why I was mentioning that YouTube example that I was given earlier is that can happen. I don't know about YouTube. YouTube's kind of finicky too, but more so on Twitch. And I'm not too well versed on this because I'm not very familiar with even how Twitch works. But I know they're excuse the word, but I know they're a little different or weird than most other platforms. And what I mean by that is oh, I should have just like DM'd you or something or tagged you or something, but I couldn't fit it in the broadcast. And from what I understand, you only need to do it once anyways. That's why even last week I didn't have the Haps challenge um, in the title. You come back. Okay. Well, no rush. I hate to do that. I don't want to rush you. I get that a lot of my customers at work, whatever. I'll help them or whatever, and I sit there and they feel like they're being rushed, and I'll tell them it's like, okay, no rush. Maybe the weather is rushing you or something else, and that's different here. But like at my work or whatever, it's like the weather might be, let's say it's raining or something or snowing, like, or if it's like super super windy, like, okay, well maybe the weather, or maybe your family members, or maybe your husband or your wife are rushing you, or maybe you're pulling an errand for your work. Maybe they're all rushing you and expecting you to get back at ASAP. But I'll tell my customers, like, I'm not gonna rush you. The only time I'm gonna rush you is I'm freaking saving your life. Like literally saving your life. What's up, Rodman? How you doing? Welcome aboard. It's a lot you missed, buddy. But oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We all love you. Yeah. She already knows this, but I've known her for a while, but I've officially met her here on Haps. Even though it goes way back on Periscope. She's one of those where you've heard of them, you kind of know who they are, but like you don't know who the hell they are, and then Haps happens, and it's awesome. So, so hello, Daniel. Hello from Kumamoto. Am I pronouncing that right? I apologize if I'm not. Welcome aboard. How are you? All right, I'm trolling myself. But yeah, we just went through a whole page of stuff. But what I was just explaining to Michelle and Yuke was um, Space Girl tends to do this. And like I said, I don't know if she really is, but her microphone's more of like this to where her mouth is. It's not like pointed up like how mine is. That doesn't really matter. But as far as the distance between her, maybe that works best for her. But I almost feel as, I'm no audio engineer by any stretch of imagination, but I know a thing or two. I know a little bit, just a tiny bit, and tiny bit enough where I feel like I'm almost the one doing it for her, where I have to lean into the microphone to get her to lean into the microphone. That's just my opinion. That's all. Okay, good. Like I said earlier, we're all our own worst critics, and I hate. You guys will notice that too. Is we have a nasty habit of not pronouncing anything at all and just keep it quiet and then butchering a name and getting it wrong and saying like the wrong thing that could possibly mean something dirty or disgusting or not what it's supposed to, especially if it's a different language or something. So, oh, the microphone thing. But yeah, I almost feel like I need to lean into the microphone for her. Like I said, maybe it's working for her. So I'll address it. If she wants to keep it where the hell it is, cool. And maybe there's a reason why she has it at that level. But uh mine, this microphone is meant to be, the one I specifically using right now is meant to be close to your mouth. And terrible at pronunciation. Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Uh some microphones, like the microphone, like when you wear an aviation headset when I'm flying. Um Somebody mentioned this the other day, not on my channel, but a friend of mine, it's a mutual on Twitter, and somebody was one of those opinions that's kind of like trollish, but they're like, "Why is your microphone like up against your mouth or something like that?" But yeah, like when I'm flying, I'm literally the microphone is literally like right now my lips are touching the foam of my microphone right now, And literally when I'm flying, not quite touching, but like literally like this close. Like I don't need to be that close, but say poutine, which is a Canadian food, but people look at me funny in America when I say it like it's a naughty word. If you don't know what the hell a word is and you never seen it before, you probably automatically think that anybody probably would, yes. But I've heard of that word before because I think the late um passed away a couple years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Pete would know. I don't think Pete's still here. Pete, if you're still here, um, uh, Steve from Florida from Periscope that um, passed away a few years back. Um, he was well into that type of food. Yeah, maybe Daniel. Maybe, I don't know. It's a matter of perspective, right? um, Goodness gracious, we've been on for 3 hours. 3 hours and 1 minute, 30 something seconds already. Wow. I'm showing 106, so I still need like 144 more at least. He was. I missed him. Very close. Got very, very close to being able to meet him, and then he got very sick, and then he left us. He passed. He was a good guy. He's a lot of fun. I remember. I don't know if he did that with you, Michelle, but he would always DM me. He wouldn't like tag me on Twitter, but he would always DM me. He usually was on. I think he did it through more Facebook more than Twitter, but sometimes it was on Twitter. Sometimes it was on Instagram too. But he would do like daily quotes or daily inspirational type things in the morning. You could come and soon to help you with the challenge. It's okay. Yeah, don't be sorry. We all have lives. Even while we're on. I shouldn't even be drinking that, but whatever. um, but yeah, as far as all the notes that I have, so that's another thing is like I don't know how you guys all feel for that. So let me ask you, Michelle, like sometimes, especially like in real life, I almost hate repeating myself like over and over again, like broken records. So when I sometimes when I'm broadcasting, sometimes I fight myself in the head live in real time where sit there and somebody comes in and they miss stuff and it's like ask for like a recap, especially if it's important or something serious or something. So I don't know if there's a right versus a wrong way to think that way as far as like, hey everybody, this is what y'all missed or whatever. So maybe I could figure out a way. That's the one thing about like teleprompters is where I could get really good at. Where Bob hasn't been sleeping deeply at all and actually got to see a neurologist. Oh wow. I hope he's okay. So when he sleeps, I need to be really quiet since we live in a small condo. Yeah. That's the one thing that I miss is because I live in an apartment building, so that's one of the reasons why I sold. Well, two reasons why I sold my electronic drum kit. Because even electronic drum kits can be a little loud too. And obviously, I didn't live in a house before coming to the apartment building that I live in now, but the nature of my apartment building, and because it was bigger, is I moved from downgraded from a one bedroom to a to an efficiency. Um, can't have a drum set no more. I mean, I probably could like during the daytime. You just wakes up so easily, even if I try to stay. Wow, I'm a heavy sleeper. I sleep through anything. Oh yeah. Uh, forget what I was just saying. Poor guy, he just tricks out of sleep sometimes. That's not good. That's not good at all. Like I said, and I hope he's okay. Um, but yeah, once we got the, I mean, we already got the ball rolling, but I could figure out on the fly here to ad lib a little bit and recap just like a 30-second type thing or something. Um, but that's what I like about Haps, where even if we have a specific subject, a lot of times we're just um, take a life of its own. So, but really struggling with planning upcoming broadcasts because, oh wow, yeah, that's got to be tough. Yeah, yeah, we'll probably do that. Like depending on who else comes in here, maybe like a 10-second recap or whatever, and what's your first few minutes replay type thing or whatever. Figure out how to do that on the fly, but we'll just kind of lay back and have some fun, so to speak. So, actually, come to think about it, well, since we mentioned a little bit about audio, something else that I didn't feel like making multiple pages. That's why I only have one page of notes. Not that I didn't have any more notes to put down, but now that I think of it and reminded of it, it's always good, especially because it'll be a lot easier for you now, Michelle, once you get this audio interface. But always test your stream before. We talked about that. We touched about that in Yuke's broadcast yesterday. Is test, 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 test. Because we went on a huge, almost rant style type of where it went from audio to the quality, your internet quality in less than a blink of an eye, and then it just tended to stay on internet speed and bandwidth and quality more than audio. But it came from audio last night, and more of the bandwidth and all that technical jargon and stuff. He's always like, "Go ahead, it's okay," but he's got little control over when he's able to sleep. So sorry if it's too much. Oh yeah, don't be sorry. It's all right. Yeah. So I'll just have to figure out a way that way you don't have to wait a whole month or something. Like, oh yeah, I sent it last month and you still don't have it. Like, what the hell? What's going on, USPS or something? So probably either FedEx or UPS or something. And I can always, even if you don't have, I don't know if you have a PO box. I don't either, and I can always send it. Like I picked up a package from a store, and I think all I have to do is the sender is tell them like, okay, well, you know, maybe have you sign for it that way I know you've got it or something, or I get a notification that you've actually physically picked it up. But I can always send it to like your. I'm sure you have a store that's close to you, right? Either a FedEx or a UPS location. These are my words and my words only, but the guy that runs or whatever postmaster or whatever the head honchos, and I don't know if he literally is in big trouble, but it almost seems like he's in deep doo-doos right now because of that, forcing him to apologize and talking to Congress about it and all that nonsense and trying to fix it and apologizing. Well, apologizing only goes so far, you know. Because how many people sit there and miss their bills because they sit there and they don't get their bills, especially if they don't have like internet or a lot of senior citizens don't have like smartphones or something. We have a mailroom here and a place to keep a package safely here. It's great. Okay. Recondo actually has a service here for packages. Cool. So it makes it easy. You ready? Welcome back. How was dinner? Yuke's like me. She eats dinner late. Medication by mail too. Yeah. Randy! What's up, Randy? Thank you for the Super Heart Award. Appreciate it, bud. Automatic. It's automatic. I got to pay attention here. You're already here, and I'm not clicking on you.
Hi.
That's etiquette right there, right? It was
And Randy. And who else is in here? Who else is in here?
So we need your who else is here? Identify yourselves. That we're going to go you're hearing, right? Don't be shy.
But I don't usually eat dinner this late, but today I was working, and so dinner ran really late today.
Wow. Yeah.
Did you already eat, Ryan?
I did. Right before I went live.
Randy's in here with the green screen. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm so.
Why does Randy look all professional with the green screen?
Love it.
Making us look like amateurs.
Now, my green screen is because I do a Twitch broadcast, and I usually take it down, but I've been lazy the past 2 days and leaving it up. I do some gaming stuff and some other accounts that I have that are not social related.
Cool.
Maybe he still is. I don't know. Daniel's still in here? Sorry, I didn't mean to overstep you. I have to scroll up way up there, but.
How you doing, Randy?
Hey, I'm doing great, man.
Good.
Shirley, hugs, Cheryl.
Shirley's here.
Love you too.
Yeah, look, Daniel's still lurking, he says.
Raman Singh, hello. Good to welcome from YouTube. Thank you for coming in.
Rahim Singh.
This is Mookie in the middle, and this is Ryan.
No profile picture, but that's okay.
Jivanath.
Giovanna? Hello, welcome on board.
Hello.
Everyone.
All right, so let's talk about this stern etiquette.
Yeah, so we'll quick recap this. The true inspiration was because of last night's broadcast, yours.
Oh, Lord.
I always enjoy myself on your broadcast. We had so much interruption.
This is what not to do.
You just went nuts, and you see.
Hi, Walt.
You're the perfect example because you hold yourself well, and at the same time, because you're holding yourself so well, of that type of energy.
Do you see that, Ryan?
Flows into the room.
Ryan, do you see that?
Might as well just.
Well,
all I need to here. Let me do the same thing I did when I was Yuke's guest yesterday. We'll stay on Twitter.
On YouTube.